2. I'm David Lovejoy.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Rhonda Lahner.
And I'm still Chuckalicious, Chuck Williams.
Joining us this morning is Constable Strada and Constable Wentz. We were talking the other day, and we've talked about this before, and it's really come to highlight here recently. The issue of squatting, the issue of people seeking shelter, I guess you could say, people who are not renting or not paying their rent. It's become a big issue, and it affects the landlord because these people wouldn't be renting these homes out if they didn't need the income.
Right.
Otherwise, they could turn it into a weight room or something like that, but it could become a big issue, and it become a growing problem. And constables, welcome. Thank you for coming in for us today.
Thank you for having us.
Ms. Rhonda, you had a great question the other day of the fire department, and they suggested we ask them. Right here.
Well, yeah, I did ask this of the fire department, just, for just in case, this person actually did, build a fire. But so the situation is my parents are no longer living in their home. They're in a nursing home in another town. And just there have been many, many instances where I've gone over there and the home is unsecure, and the garage especially. And then this has been going on for months, and then I hear from a neighbor that he went over there one day and had to run a lady out of the garage that had been squatting. Well, I've never seen this or come upon this. I have come upon the house where, doors are open. It's not near as secure as I thought. And so, for somebody like myself, I'm just trying to make sure my parents' home is okay, but these things are happening. What are some things that I need to do to maybe prevent or curtail this activity?
Contact the police or us. That's not squatting. They're going into a house. That's trespassing. They're violating the law.
There was theft, and especially out of the garage. Now, I do believe the lady was squatting, but there were other people that were coming in and stealing.
Just secure your house the best you can. Put up some no trespassing signs. And, you can contact crime prevention at the police department and just let them know that you want to, blanket. You can put a blanket trespass on there. Anybody caught can go to jail for trespassing.
And the issue of squatting, and I've heard some people say this, they say because of the involvement of the court system and the eviction laws, it's sometimes more expensive to chase someone out of a property than it is to try to collect in the squatting issue. How big of a problem has this grown, especially in Potter County? Has the squatting issue grown, and how much does it cost? Is it really expensive for the property owners and property managers to try to get that squatter out of that property?
An eviction, the first part of it is $154, I think, and then if it goes to writ of possession, that's $205. So what? $359. But the landlord or the property manager or the property owner needs to make sure they do it right, because if they don't do it right and it goes to court and you skirted the law a little bit on your eviction, you'll lose and you got to start all over.
That makes me wonder, when you turn around and you have a squatter, and let's say something does go wrong at your house, a fire is started or destruction and everything, that comes back on you, does it not, as the original owner?
Yes, of course. That's property damage.
Right.
And that does cost a lot for the landlords and the homeowners. Rhonda, just to go back to your question real quick, I would just really put trespassing signs in the windows, on the door, on the fence. Make sure your parents' house is completely secured. Lock it if you have to put extra locks or a board or something, and have your neighbors call immediately, because that can be dealt with, immediately if we know there's a trespasser there, other than having a squatter that's made residency in that home. And then you're looking at having to go through the eviction process, or even worse, adverse possession, where in Texas it's 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years. And here lately, the most recent one that I know of that I could look at was Dayton County. An individual went into a house that was vacant and established residency. And for $15, he was able to get that. I think it was like $300,000 home for $15. So absolutely, it does cost the property owners. It costs the property managers that have to go through a corporate system money to get these squatters out that have went into a property. If we know about it quickly, it can go from a trespassing issue to a squatting issue. So that's why we want to put out the awareness of what you can do, what you should do, and who to call. If there's a fire, immediately call the fire department. We don't deal with fires, but there's times where we've gone into a home and it's seen that they're setting fires, especially in our cold seasons,
Right.
and rainy seasons. When it's cold, they're trying to get into a place. If they know there's a place that's vacant, they're going to get into it. Absolutely.
There'll be some people who will say, well, why bother them? They're just trying to get warm. They're just trying to survive. Well, why bother them? Why is it important we could tell this issue of squatting?
Well, because if they burn your house down, $100,000 house, insurance, it costs all of us,
Right.
When the insurance pays a claim on a house, well, everybody else's rates are going to go up because of it. And it's not their property. I work for my property, you work for your property. It's not their property. There are services out there in the city to try and help them. A lot of people we deal with, they just, you can throw money at things and have all kinds of services for people, but if they don't want to take those services, you can't force them to.
Are you seeing a rise in the number of incidents where you're having squatters? Are you seeing a rise in those numbers?
Well, it's a rise in the number. Yes, that. So when we say squatters, like you hear on the national news about the squatters that have taken over houses and you can't get them out. In Texas, you can get them out. I mean, even if they've been there 30 days, you do the eviction process. It's about a 28-day process. You get them out. Mainly they're trespassers. What we are seeing is we'll have a person that's on housing assistance. We have one right now. He was on housing assistance. They dropped the assistance because he let one or two homeless people come stay with him. Well, one or two turned into 5 or 6, and now the neighbors say there's 20 or 30 that just come and go from that house. He now locks himself in the bedroom because he can't get rid of them. We went in there, ran them all out because he said he didn't want them there. Come back the next day or 2 days later, and they're all right back in there. He says they're his friends, and I said, no, they're not your friends. They're using you. Because he has a house, he's getting assistance, and then they're just kind of forcing their way in and taking over.
Well, the forcing your way in, can they be arrested for something like that?
They can for trespassing and stuff, but
He has to press the charge.
he's afraid of.
Yeah. He has to
Okay.
press the charge.
Yeah.
He has to press the charges.
He has allowed us to go in to remove them. So there's a consent there. Okay. But if you keep inviting back, then, what do you expect us to do actually? Going back to your question, it not only affects the homeowner, the property, it also affects the neighborhood. If they're in an apartment, their neighboring tenants. Because if you can see on my Facebook, I've always put out what we do, trying to just bring that perspective of the constables are working. But that type of issue and circumstances also brings in pests, brings in smells, and it does affect more than just that person and that property. You're dealing with neighbors that are constantly calling in, complaining, or moving out, literally just moving out. And so it's costing also rent, for these individuals and properties. So when we come in, they're going to get the business part of it, what I call the business end of it. Once we're involved and the courts are involved, it's what we're going to do. We're going to end up removing somebody out of a property due to a court order.
That's it. No, all right. Well, thank you, Constables. Thank you for the great advice. We appreciate you being on today. We've got to get out of here. Give me a call if you want tickets to the Lions Club Pancake Supper, 806-350-0710, 806-3500-710. See you tomorrow. Be kind, be careful.